Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Strategic Licensing Committee. Because I've got a loud voice, I'm going to move my mic back a little bit. I am obliged to inform you that this meeting is being streamed live and recorded. Members of the public will be able to view the meeting using a link on the agenda. So welcome anyone who's listening in. Apologies. We've had one apologies from Colin Taylor. And sub is Mark Morris. Great. Brilliant. Hello, Mark. Right, minutes of the last meeting. Has everybody read the minutes of the last meeting? Have they got a proposer for the minutes? Yeah, Alan. And a seconder? Yeah, Adam. All those in favour of the minutes? Great. Right, public question time. As far as I know, there hasn't been no public questions have been received. So we'll move on. Pecuniary interest. Disposable pecuniary interest. Yeah, Mark.
Thanks, Chair. As I'm a partner with my wife in a private hire business, we're licensed with this authority as operators and drivers. So when it comes to item 5, certainly for the license fee charges, I will leave the room.
That's great.
I believe that's the only item, isn't it? Yeah. So is that, can I just ask a question? Like the gambling, are you okay to stay, or do I go out for the whole of item 5?
The what?
Whole of the item.
Yeah, whole of the item.
That's fine.
So,
yeah.
But we'll come and get you as soon as the item's over.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Right, is there any other pecuniary interest? No? Okay, let's move on. Licensing fees and charges. So over to you, Mandy. Oh, Councillor Morris. Yeah, you need to go now, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So this is the first time that lots of members will have seen the report to do with fees and charges and licensing fees. So I probably need to give a little bit more of an explanation than more than I would do normally, purely just to sort of so you get a better understanding of how these fees are calculated and why we do what we do. So the most important thing to remember is licence fees are ring fenced. We cannot make a profit. The aim is to be cost neutral. All licensing fees have to be reinvested back into licensing, and it can't be used to prop up any corporate pots anywhere. So that's the most important thing to remember. So the aim of the game when I'm saying licensing fees is to be as cost neutral as possible all the way through. So the way we set fees is that we have a 3-year rolling window. So the easiest way for me to explain this is we can't use the actuals for the year that we're in. So we have to use estimates because we're not a year end, and we have to estimate how many renewals we're getting in for the following year, so 26/7. But we do use the actuals to base this year's fees on from 24/5. And this is what I reference when I talk about a 3-year rolling window. So currently we're using the actuals in 24/5. Estimates for 25/6, and we will be using more estimates for 26/7 in order to set the fees, and that's how it has been done for the report that I put before you today. You will see, and I've made reference in there to the back office costs reducing, which means that there is an increased amount of money going in towards the deficit pot, and you will also see in the report that we're just under £3,000 to be cost neutral. We're at just 2,000. I'll get you the stuff. Thank you, Chair. 2,700 in deficit at the moment based on the fees we've calculated to date. So getting us to a cost neutral point of view, I think we've done very well for setting of last year's fees, and we will continue to build on that to remain to that cost neutral. If at any point in time we do make a surplus, we have to adjust the fees in the following year and hand that money back. So we have to reduce the fees accordingly. So we're on a balancing act here with these fees. So I just wanted to make that point so that everybody is fully aware. The fees themselves, we have statutory fees, so we can't change those, but I include those in the report so it's open and clear and transparent. We have statutory fees that have a statutory maximum, so we can charge up to the statutory maximum based on the calculations, but again we have to cost out those fees to make sure we're only charging the cost that it costs us to produce those licenses and process the licenses. And we also have the discretionary fees that are all listed within the report. I've tried to put as much detail in there as possible for each of the licensing areas, so that you've all got that detail. And there is an additional one in the report this year for primates. So from the 1st of April 2026, we will be licensing primates. So there is the ability to charge fees for that licensing process, which we've built into this report for this year, but we won't be starting to charge those until April, which is when the legislation takes into effect. So I'm open really now to any questions to what I've just said, or any questions to the information within the report.
Yeah, Mark.
Sure. Oh, I've got to ask it. Are there primates on the horizon for Shropshire?
We're in the process at the moment to try and identify premises out there that have them.
Right. Okay, that's fine. So the potential, there isn't something immediately on the horizon, but it's presumably put into place so that we could, should the need arise.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else got any questions on the fees and charges?
Okay, one last thing on the fees and charges.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have mentioned this. The taxi fees and charges, they have their own separate consultation period. So we include them in the report now, so that you can see all the fees, but the law requires the taxis to have their own separate consultation. So in January time, normally, I will take those out to consultation, and if there's any representations from the trade representatives about those fees, I will bring a report back to strategic for the members here to make a decision on the fees going forward. If there's no representations to those fees will come into effect the day after the consultation ends. So if there's no representations, we normally run the consultation to a midpoint in February or thereabouts. So if there is a possibility for those taxi fees to come into effect at a point in February rather than April, depending on the consultation and what happens. So that's the only odd one out of all of these. The rest will run with the corporate fees and charges, will be brought to full council in January, February time, and then will come into effect in April.
So will that?
Yeah, of course.
So that the main fees and charges will go to full council in February, but the taxi ones, if there's no representations to the fees that are in the report today, they won't come back because they will just come into effect the day after the consultation. If there's any representations, I will bring it back to the March strategic meeting with a view to them coming to whatever's decided to come into effect on the 1st of April.
Nigel.
Thank you, Chair. I know I probably read it somewhere in the report, but it's just a little bit grey. Can you offset one fee stream against another fee stream so that you've got an overall deficit, or does each fee stream have to sort itself out?
Some you can, some you can't. So annual fees for Licensing Act can be used to support other areas of the service. Taxi fees are their own entity. They have to be on a standalone, and some of the others as well. So it just depends on the legislation surrounding each licence type as to which ones can be supported and which ones can't. But the Licensing Act itself allows the annual fees to prop up the whole of licensing effectively.
Yeah, Mark.
Thanks, Joe. Could be a daft question, but I'll ask it anyway. Is there any reason why the change in fees occurs at February rather than at tax year end?
The only fees that will change in February will be the taxi ones, and that's only if there's a representation in the consultation. The rest will run with the corporate fees and will come into effect on the 1st of April.
That's great, thanks.
Any other questions? Right. Can I have a proposer for the fees and charges? Yep, that's Jamie, who's seconder. Yep, Nigel. Right, okay, we'll move on.
You need to bring Councillor Morris back.
Oh, Councillor Morris can come back in now, yeah. We better not forget him. Yeah, Jamie. Pardon? Oh, all in favour? Sorry, before we go. Sorry. Yep, great. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah.
Everybody else was forthcoming. So.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Right, over to exercise of delegated powers. Over to you, Mandy.
Thank you, Chair. For everybody, this is the standard report that I bring to this meeting every time we meet, and it just gives the committee an overview of all the licence types that we've been processing for the previous quarter. So yeah, really, it's just an information report, just so that you can all sort of have a view on what we're doing from a month by month basis. Just something that has been pointed out to me on this particular report. The report's up until the 31st of August. So there's a couple of fireworks applications in there, but it'll be the next report that comes next time that will show the fireworks. It's this time of year. We'll show all the applications that come in for fireworks. It was just a question that I was asked, so I thought I might as well just let you know that it'll come in December's report for that. But I'm open to any questions on anything in that report, but it is only just for information.
Yeah, Mark.
There are financial implications associated with, there are financial implications associated with the report. Can we ask how much that is and why and what? And
so the financial, sorry, that should say no.
Number 5.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, that should say no.
5.1.
Yeah, sorry, that's my mistake. That should read at 5.1. There are no financial implications associated with this report. Sorry, that's my mistake.
Because licensing is sorry. They always said it was because I used to be on licensing for district the early 2000s, and it was always a not-for-profit. Well, when
that's right.
The council's in financial crisis.
Yeah, hold my hands up. That's my mistake. Should say there are no financial implications associated with this report. So.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Thank you, Mark, for asking the question. Right, sorry, there was someone else with their hand up. Yeah, Mark.
No question, actually. I was just saying thank you for the report, and also the fact that it was interesting going down the various types of licensing. I hadn't realised that acupuncturists had to get a licence. And you've mentioned the dangerous animals and the things before, and the explosives. But it was an interesting read going down it. Thanks.
Yeah. Is there any other questions for anybody? Yeah, Nigel.
So further down it says total applications 1,484. That's quite a lot of work, really. How has your team been impacted by the voluntary redundancy scheme last year, and are you sufficiently staffed to deal with all that work?
If I'm being honest, we haven't been affected from a processing point of view because all my officers have not opted to take VR, which I'm lucky that is the case. In terms of volumes of work, it's only increasing all of the time. We are in a position where we can amend the fees and charges going forward to account for another officer if that is required. So as a statutory function, we're in a very fortunate position that the fees and charges, because we remain that cost neutral, that we're able to use that going forward to increase the team as and when we will need to. But there is an upward trend at the moment in the applications that's coming through the door. So we're just keeping a monitor on that to see how we're going. In terms of the VRs, it's the management structure that's been affected. So people above me effectively that have taken VR, which has affected my volume. My volume of work has increased through that time. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out.
Right. Greg.
So firstly, I would like just to echo many of the statements made today. Thank you for delivering such a comprehensive report. Just a point of curiosity, I've noticed that you've got pavement licenses and pavement permits. What is the distinction between the two?
So the easiest way to explain it, a pavement permit is for things like shops that want, say, greengrocers, those sort of shops that have the fruit stands outside. pavement licence is more for pubs that have the tables and chairs outside and increase the licensable area. The pavement licensing came into effect during the COVID pandemic. It was a temporary thing to increase the outside areas of licensed premises, but because it was such a popular thing, central government created it as a permanent change in legislation. So that's why we've got the distinction between the two now.
Good question.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, Nick.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question. Failing to understand what taxi licensing in brackets surrendered means. Does that mean they've surrendered their licensing and no longer taxi
Yes.
drivers? It does.
Yes.
Oh, I do understand it then. That's good. Thank you.
Brilliant. Anyone else? Anyone else got any questions? No? So can I have a proposer to, well, it's only for noting, so we don't need to have a proposer, that's only noting. So the date of the next meeting of the Strategic Licensing Committee will be on Wednesday, the 17th of December at 10 a.m. So thank you all for coming today. Thank you.